is Pi Day, representing the first 3 digits of the mathematical constant pi. Math academics and fanatics around the world are going to celebrate by buying pi-themed t-shirts and clocks, and that's probably about it. Basically, they're just taking some time to appreciate this useful ratio. But it got me thinking about some other mathematical numbers and values that don't get the same amount of appreciation or attention. So join me on my hipster trek reviewing some of the more esoteric examples out there. I, or imaginary numbers. So the square of any number is a positive number. So it doesn't matter if you take a negative number or a positive number. If you multiply it by itself, the product is always a positive number. I is defined as the square root of -1, which means I squared equals -1. So I becomes really useful anytime a mathematician or a physicist needs to find the square root of a negative number. I was first imagined by Greek mathematicians and engineers. It was described in 1572, but it didn't start being taken seriously until the late 1700s and early 1800s. In fact, the term imaginary numbers was meant to be an insult because it was thought that they would never be useful. The golden number, or phi. This is a special ratio expressed by this equation. This ratio has been referenced or utilized in calculations and designs for over 2,400 years. It shows up in paintings and architecture as old as the pyramids, in biology, music, and design, and even in some financial and economic models. If you're ever looking at Greek architecture, you'll recognize it everywhere. 0. 0 is neither positive nor negative, it is the only neutral number. Indian mathematicians were credited with being the first people to use a digit for 0. Before them, it was usually left as a vacant position if represented at all. For many thousands of years, 0 was not considered a number. Even the Greeks, who were in love with the golden number, struggled with the idea of 0. How can nothing be something? Graham's number. Quick, think of the biggest number you can. Many of you might have thought of a million or a billion or even a trillion. That's one with 12 zeros after it. A trillion is definitely a big number because that's the approximate weight of all living humans combined. A couple of you might have even said a googol, which is a 1 with 100 zeros after it, which is a pretty big number because if you had that many grains of sand, you would fill the entire universe 10 billion times. Graham's number is bigger, much bigger. Graham is an American mathematician, and he came up with Graham's number, as you might have already guessed, as an aside to the proof that he was working on. So it wasn't even something he set out to do, it just kind of happened. But the number was published along with his proof, making it at the time the largest number to have ever been published as part of a serious mathematical proof ever. So how big is this number? Well, if you tried to write it out as exponents of exponents, that written number wouldn't fit in our universe. That's right, not just that many of something wouldn't fit in this universe, but the number written out itself won't fit in this universe. You have to learn some advanced mathematical tools to even be able to describe that number accurately on a single piece of paper. Pi! I couldn't leave this guy out. Pi is an irrational number that repeats in a seemingly random order forever. It describes the relationship between a circle's circumference and its diameter, or how many times the diameter fits into the circumference. Pi ceases to be useful in most mathematical calculations beyond about 40 digits, but using a variety of computing techniques, it's been calculated beyond 13.3 billion digits. You've probably heard of people memorizing and reciting the digits of pi. The current record is held by a Chinese man, Lu Chao, who memorized and recited 68,890 digits of pi, taking him 24 hours and 4 minutes to complete this task. That's a lot of pi.